Welcome! Today, we're diving into the topic of a cease operations notice, a term that can cause concern for any business owner. This notice is an official directive, usually from a government or regulatory body, instructing a business to halt its activities immediately. But what does this really mean? And why might a business receive such a notice? In this video, we'll break down the essentials, explore the reasons behind these notices, and discuss what steps businesses can take if they find themselves facing one. Let's start by understanding the basic definition and context of a cease operations notice. A cease operations notice is a formal order requiring a business to stop all or specific operations, often immediately. This notice is typically issued by a government agency, regulatory authority, or sometimes a court. The purpose is to address violations, safety concerns, or legal issues that make continued operation risky or unlawful. Receiving such a notice is serious, as it can disrupt business activities and have significant financial and reputational impacts. Understanding the definition helps set the stage for why these notices are issued and what they entail. Cease operations notices are generally issued by government agencies, such as health departments, fire marshals, labor boards, or environmental authorities. Sometimes, courts may also order a business to stop operations as part of legal proceedings. The issuing authority depends on the nature of the violation or concern. For example, a health department might issue a notice if a restaurant fails a health inspection, while a fire marshal could act if there are safety hazards. Knowing who can issue these notices is crucial for understanding the process and potential outcomes. There are several reasons why a business might receive a cease operations notice. Common causes include violations of health and safety regulations, environmental laws, labor standards, or zoning requirements. Sometimes, businesses are ordered to stop operations due to unpaid taxes, lack of proper licenses, or involvement in illegal activities. Each situation is unique, but the underlying theme is that the business is not in compliance with laws or regulations, and continuing to operate could pose risks to the public or the environment. When a business receives a cease operations notice, the impact is immediate and often severe. Operations must stop right away, which can mean closing doors, halting production, or suspending services. Employees may be sent home, and customers turned away. Financial losses can mount quickly, especially if the business relies on daily sales or contracts. The notice can also damage the business's reputation, making it harder to regain trust even after compliance is achieved. Understanding these impacts helps highlight the seriousness of such notices. A cease operations notice carries significant legal implications. Failing to comply can result in fines, legal action, or even criminal charges, depending on the severity of the violation. Businesses may also face lawsuits from affected parties, such as customers or employees. In some cases, the notice is part of a larger investigation or enforcement action. It's essential for business owners to take these notices seriously and seek legal advice to understand their rights and obligations. One of the most common reasons for a cease operations notice is health and safety violations. For example, a restaurant with unsanitary conditions or a factory with unsafe machinery may be ordered to stop operations until the issues are resolved. These violations pose risks to employees, customers, or the public, prompting authorities to act quickly. Addressing health and safety concerns is often the first step toward lifting the notice and resuming business. Environmental violations are another major trigger for cease operations notices. Businesses that pollute air, water, or soil, or that fail to follow environmental regulations, may be ordered to stop activities until compliance is achieved. These notices aim to protect natural resources and public health. Environmental authorities often conduct inspections and may require corrective actions before allowing the business to reopen. Labor violations, such as unsafe working conditions, wage theft, or failure to comply with labor laws, can also result in a cease operations notice. Authorities may intervene to protect workers' rights and safety. Businesses must address these issues, which might include paying back wages, improving safety measures, or updating employment practices before they can resume operations. Operating without the proper licenses or permits is a common reason for receiving a cease operations notice. Businesses must comply with local, state, and federal licensing requirements, which vary by industry. If a business is found operating without the necessary approvals, authorities can order an immediate halt until all paperwork is in order. This ensures that businesses meet safety, health, and legal standards. Tax problems, such as unpaid taxes or fraudulent financial practices, can also lead to a cease operations notice. Tax authorities may intervene if a business fails to pay required taxes or is suspected of financial misconduct. Resolving these issues typically involves settling outstanding debts, correcting records, and demonstrating compliance with tax laws before operations can resume. Zoning violations, such as operating a business in a restricted area or failing to meet land use requirements, can result in a cease operations notice. Local governments enforce zoning laws to ensure businesses operate in appropriate locations and comply with community standards. Businesses must resolve zoning issues, which may involve relocating or modifying operations before reopening. Engaging in illegal activities, such as fraud, trafficking, or other criminal conduct, can prompt authorities to issue a cease operations notice. In these cases, the notice is often part of a larger investigation, and the business may face criminal charges or asset seizures. Compliance with the notice is mandatory, and legal consequences can be severe. The process of issuing a cease operations notice typically begins with an inspection or investigation. Authorities identify violations and document their findings. The business is then formally notified, often in writing, with details about the violations and required actions. The notice may specify a deadline for compliance or require immediate cessation of operations. Understanding this process helps businesses prepare and respond appropriately. A typical cease operations notice includes key information: the issuing authority, the specific violations, required corrective actions, and the timeline for compliance. It may also outline penalties for non-compliance and provide contact information for questions or appeals. Reviewing the notice carefully is essential for understanding what is required and avoiding further penalties. Upon receiving a cease operations notice, businesses must act quickly. The first step is to halt all specified activities as directed. Next, review the notice in detail to understand the violations and required corrective actions. It's wise to consult with legal counsel or industry experts to ensure a proper response. Prompt action can help minimize penalties and speed up the resolution process. To lift a cease operations notice, businesses must address the cited violations. This may involve cleaning up facilities, repairing equipment, obtaining missing permits, or paying outstanding taxes. Authorities may require proof of compliance, such as inspection reports or documentation. Taking corrective measures promptly is the best way to restore operations and avoid further penalties. After corrective actions are taken, authorities may conduct a re-inspection to verify compliance. This step is crucial before a business can resume operations. Inspectors will check that all violations have been addressed and that the business meets required standards. Only after passing the re-inspection will the cease operations notice be lifted, allowing the business to reopen. If a business believes a cease operations notice was issued in error, there's often an appeal process. This allows the business to present evidence, challenge the findings, or negotiate a resolution. The appeal process varies by jurisdiction and agency, but it's an important safeguard to ensure fairness. Businesses should follow the outlined procedures and provide all necessary documentation to support their case. Receiving a cease operations notice can affect employees, customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders. It's important for businesses to communicate openly and honestly about the situation. Providing updates on corrective actions and expected timelines can help maintain trust and minimize confusion. Clear communication is key to managing relationships during a challenging time. Legal counsel plays a critical role when a business receives a cease operations notice. Lawyers can help interpret the notice, advise on compliance, and represent the business in appeals or negotiations. Their expertise is invaluable in navigating complex regulations and minimizing legal risks. Engaging legal counsel early can make a significant difference in the outcome. The financial impact of a cease operations notice can be substantial. Lost revenue, ongoing expenses, and potential fines add up quickly. Businesses may also face costs related to corrective actions, legal fees, and reputational repair. Planning for these financial challenges is essential for recovery and long-term stability. A cease operations notice can harm a business's reputation, especially if the violations are publicized. Customers may lose trust, and competitors may use the situation to their advantage. Rebuilding reputation requires transparency, corrective action, and consistent communication. Over time, businesses can regain trust by demonstrating commitment to compliance and quality. Some business insurance policies may cover losses related to a cease operations notice, such as business interruption insurance. However, coverage depends on the policy terms and the nature of the violation. Businesses should review their insurance policies and consult with their providers to understand available protections and file claims if eligible. Prevention is always better than cure. Businesses can reduce the risk of receiving a cease operations notice by maintaining compliance with all relevant laws and regulations. Regular training, internal audits, and proactive risk management help identify and address potential issues before they escalate. Building a culture of compliance protects both the business and its stakeholders. Many businesses employ compliance officers to oversee regulatory adherence. These professionals monitor changes in laws, conduct internal audits, and ensure that policies are up to date. Their work is essential in preventing violations that could lead to a cease operations notice. Investing in compliance expertise is a smart move for any business. Certain industries face higher risks of receiving cease operations notices due to strict regulations. For example, food service, healthcare, manufacturing, and construction are closely monitored for safety and compliance. Businesses in these sectors should pay extra attention to regulatory requirements and maintain thorough records to demonstrate compliance. Let's look at a real-world example. A local restaurant received a cease operations notice after a health inspection revealed multiple violations, including improper food storage and unsanitary kitchen conditions. The owners acted quickly, addressing all issues and inviting inspectors for a follow-up. After passing the re-inspection, the notice was lifted, and the restaurant reopened with improved practices and renewed customer trust. In another case, a manufacturing plant was ordered to cease operations due to environmental violations. The company worked with environmental consultants to implement corrective measures, such as installing pollution controls and updating waste management procedures. After demonstrating compliance, the plant was allowed to resume operations, highlighting the importance of swift and effective response. A retail store received a cease operations notice for operating without a valid business license. The owners quickly applied for the necessary permits and provided documentation to authorities. After a brief closure, the store reopened, serving as a reminder of the importance of keeping licenses and permits up to date. A construction company was forced to halt work after safety inspectors found multiple violations, including missing safety equipment and improper scaffolding. The company invested in new safety gear, retrained workers, and updated procedures. After passing a follow-up inspection, the cease operations notice was lifted, and work resumed safely. A tech startup was issued a cease operations notice for failing to comply with data privacy regulations. The company worked with legal and IT experts to update its privacy policies and implement new security measures. After demonstrating compliance, the notice was lifted, and the startup continued its operations, now with stronger data protection in place. A healthcare facility was ordered to cease operations after inspectors found violations of patient safety standards. The facility implemented new protocols, retrained staff, and upgraded equipment. After a successful re-inspection, the notice was lifted and the facility resumed providing care, demonstrating the importance of compliance in sensitive industries. A logistics company received a cease operations notice due to improper handling of hazardous materials. The company overhauled its procedures, provided additional training, and invested in safer equipment. After demonstrating compliance, the notice was lifted, and the company resumed operations, now with improved safety standards. An educational institution was ordered to cease operations due to building code violations. The school worked with contractors to make necessary repairs and upgrades. After passing a follow-up inspection, the notice was lifted and classes resumed, highlighting the importance of maintaining safe facilities for students and staff. A financial services firm received a cease operations notice for failing to comply with anti-money laundering regulations. The firm implemented new compliance programs, trained staff, and updated reporting procedures. After demonstrating compliance, the notice was lifted, and the firm continued its operations with enhanced oversight. A transportation company was ordered to cease operations after multiple safety violations were discovered during an inspection. The company invested in vehicle maintenance, driver training, and updated safety protocols. After passing a re-inspection, the notice was lifted, and the company resumed operations with a renewed focus on safety. An e-commerce business received a cease operations notice for failing to comply with consumer protection laws. The company updated its return policies, improved customer service, and ensured all product information was accurate. After demonstrating compliance, the notice was lifted, and the business continued to grow, now with stronger consumer protections in place. A small business was issued a cease operations notice for failing to comply with fire safety regulations. The owners installed new fire alarms, updated evacuation plans, and trained employees on emergency procedures. After a successful re-inspection, the notice was lifted and the business resumed operations, now better prepared for emergencies. A nonprofit organization received a cease operations notice for failing to file required annual reports. The organization worked with accountants to update records and submit all necessary paperwork. After resolving the issue, the notice was lifted, and the nonprofit continued its mission, now with improved administrative practices. A franchise business was ordered to cease operations after failing to meet brand standards and contractual obligations. The franchisee worked closely with the parent company to address deficiencies, retrain staff, and improve operations. After demonstrating compliance, the notice was lifted, and the franchise continued to operate successfully. An event venue was issued a cease operations notice due to overcrowding and fire code violations. The venue reduced capacity, improved crowd management, and updated safety protocols. After passing a follow-up inspection, the notice was lifted and events resumed safely, ensuring compliance with all regulations. An agricultural business received a cease operations notice for improper use of pesticides. The company worked with agricultural experts to update practices, train workers, and ensure compliance with environmental regulations. After demonstrating compliance, the notice was lifted and the business continued its operations with safer practices. A hotel was ordered to cease operations after inspectors found violations of health and safety standards, including pest infestations and fire hazards. The hotel invested in pest control, upgraded fire safety systems, and retrained staff. After passing a re-inspection, the notice was lifted and the hotel reopened, now offering a safer environment for guests. In summary, a cease operations notice is a serious directive that requires immediate attention from businesses. Whether due to health, safety, legal, or administrative reasons, these notices can have significant financial and reputational impacts. However, by understanding the reasons behind such notices, taking prompt corrective action, and maintaining a culture of compliance, businesses can recover and even emerge stronger. Remember, prevention and preparation are key to avoiding future disruptions and ensuring long-term success.